us down, but we will always win. Leading every dance, feeling every touch, and getting high in love. We're invincible. Trust in me. We're invincible. Don't you see? We're invincible. We're invincible. We're invincible. We're invincible. We're invincible. Let's escape the gray and let the colors rain. Turn the shit we do and our words into pure reality. 'Cause you and me are meant to be what they don't see. Never feeling wrong 'cause we don't belong. And getting high in love. We're invincible. Trust in me. We're invincible. Don't you see? We're invincible. We're invincible. We're invincible. We're invincible. We're invincible.
Thought about this too much. What's there left to say? Throw your stones the river. Like me, it drifts away. I would watch you stare. I would watch you stare. Oh, but there's no one there. We can figure this out. Put your feet down. We are the lucky ones. Swallow your choice, it's done.
Alrighty, y'all. Welcome back to another live stream. So as you guys can see on the screen, today's not going to be super exciting. We're just going to go ahead and be recording some Let's Build Twitter episodes because I need to go ahead and get my backlog up because we're also working on Freedom Tracker at the same time. So obviously if I'm working on Freedom Tracker, I'm not having time to actually record episodes. And I'm starting to work out and do some other stuff in the mornings on Tuesday and Thursday. On Tuesday and Thursday whenever I'm not live streaming. So I don't really have as much time to record and stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to get a couple more episodes here in the unknown or in the Let's Build Twitter backlog. I'm gonna go ahead and go through and try to respond to comments and things like that in between takes here. I'm gonna try to get at least 2 episodes recorded. We'll see how long they are, and then if we can get 3, that'd be great just to have so I can start editing them on the weekend and stuff. I also have a script ready or almost ready for the next episode of Freedom Tracker, so that's also cool. So be on the lookout for that. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and move over to my other OBS where I'm going to go ahead and record. Looks like the microphone is working. I'm going to go ahead and make sure our recording settings are dialed in really quick, and it's going to record the correct place. It is. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and start the recording in like 3 or 4 seconds here, and then we're going to go ahead and get into it. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to an episode here on Let's Build Twitter. As always, I'm Ethan, or Unknown Coder, your favorite underqualified senior software engineer. If you guys do want access to the private repository, what you need to go ahead and do is subscribe to the repository tier membership here on the channel. That should go ahead and unlock you a form where you can go ahead and submit to get access to this specific repository or any other repositories I might have in the future. Now, with that being said, y'all, let's go ahead and hop into work. So with that being said, y'all, let's go ahead and hop into what we're working on today. Today, we're going to go ahead and continue working in the communities page, obviously. Today, we're going to go ahead and work on the communities explore area. I was going to try to work on this in the last episode, but it was starting to go a little bit long, so we went ahead and moved it over to this episode. We need to go ahead and make some modifications to our, store here, we need to go ahead and make some changes to our community slice to be able to actually fetch all of these Explorer communities, and then make some changes to our post to be able to display them here, then obviously make this page as well. So that being said, let's go and hop into the code, get to work, and see where we get to today. Starting out inside of a community slice, we need to go ahead and make a new async thunk to actually fetch the Explorer. Let's go ahead and come below here. I'll say export const, and we're going to go ahead and call this initialize and communities, if I could type, explore, like so. This is going to equal to create async thunk, obviously. Go ahead and open this up. So we're going to go ahead and call this, communities, slash, and then this one is going to be explore slash init. And then we're going to go ahead and say async. As we do, go ahead and make our function. We're going to take a payload, and we might need to make this payload, I don't remember. Nope, it's just a string, payload string, and then our thunk API. Let's go ahead and open up our error function. So once again, we're going to try, and I'll fix this in a second. Try, there we go, and catch E. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry y'all, can't type today. And then here we're going to return our thunk API dot, and then reject with value, and then pass in E. There we go. Come back up here. We're going to go ahead and say const res is equal to await axios.get. And this is going to go ahead and be to http localhost 8000. And then we're going to go ahead and do this to communities slash, and then discovery slash, and then post. And hopefully we spelled that all right. If it's getting an error, that means that we probably didn't spell it right, and we'll fix it. We have our headers. And then inside of our headers, we'll go ahead and have our authorization. I could type authorization backticks, have our bear, and then $ curly brace, $curly brace. And then this will be our payload. Let's go ahead and pass in that token. Looks good. So now let's go ahead and come down here. First, we're going to go ahead and set up a reset. So underneath our update selected community, we're going to go ahead and say reset, explore, and state. It's going to take in the state, and we're literally just going to return and ... state. And then we're going to go ahead and say discovery post is equal to an empty array. And then we're going to come down to our extra reducers. Go ahead and come below our pending. And we're going to say builder.add case. And this is going to go ahead and be initialize and communities explorer dot pending. And we'll go ahead and have our state in our action and open this up. Here we're going to go and return state. Loading will be true. We'll go ahead and set the error to false. We'll set our discovery post to an empty array. And then we're going to go ahead and say our discovery communities is also an empty array. Let's come below this fulfilled. And let's go ahead and say builder.add case. Excuse me, I had a little bit of a hiccup there. And then here we're going to go ahead and say initialize communities explorer. And then this one is going to be fulfilled. Go ahead and bring that in. And then here we'll have our state, our action, and open this up. Here we're going to go ahead and return our state. And then we'll have loading as false. And then we're going to go ahead and say discovery post is equal to action.payload. And then finally, we need to go ahead and deal with rejected. And what did I mess up here? So builder add case. And then we have this. We're returning. I messed something up here. That part is fine. Return state. And then loading. I must have typoed something there. False. And then finally discovery post action.payload. Let's see what is going on here. We're returning the state, so that should be fine. I love whenever these random things pop up. No overload matches is called. This call. Initialize communities explore. Let's make sure this is typoed right or typed right. See here. Whoops. State in action. That should be fine. Make sure this is spelled right. Okay, I typoed something in initialize communities explorer. Fair enough. And then builder.add case of our initialize communities explorer dot rejected. Oops, rejected. And we'll have our state action and our arrow function return. And then here, not this, we want an object. Whoops. State. And then here we're going to go ahead and say loading is false, but error is true. I don't think we ever use the error. Oh, this is still mad at us. Never mind. I thought it fixed itself. So this one is fine as well. So why is this one mad at us? I'm going to copy this and figure out what the heck is going on. This got closed, so that should be fine. Paste this, and then let's go ahead and say fulfilled. Oh, you know what? I don't think we ever returned the data. We need to return, whoops, return res.data. There we go. Okay. And let's see here. So once again, loading is false. Error is going to be false. I don't think we need the error. We'll go ahead and say discovery post is equal to action.payload. That makes sense. We need to actually return the data. Cool. And then we need to go ahead and return the reset state. So go ahead and bring in reset explore state like so. And we should be good there. So as long as I actually type everything right, we're pretty good to go. Now we need to go ahead and actually update our post component itself to be able to display what community the post is a part of. Let's go and hop into our post component. Inside of our post, we're going to go and update our post props. So below here, below notification, we're going to go ahead and say community question mark is going to be a community. We're going to go ahead and import this from our global interfaces, and that's good to go. Then let's also go ahead and add it to this guy as well. So go ahead and say community, and that looks good. Cool. So now we need to go ahead and come down to about line 63, about right here. It's not going to be perfect, but it is what it is. Const, and this is going to be called open community is equal to, and this is going to take an e react.mouse event, whoops, mouse event on an HTML and div element. Go ahead and open this up. And I believe it's a div element. It's actually a paragraph element. Let's go ahead and make sure we do this right. Paragraph element, and it's probably gonna break everything, of course. All right, now here we're gonna say e.stop propagation, and that's fine. And then here we're gonna go ahead and navigate, which should already exist, to backticks slash communities slash, and then $ curly brace, not $, curly brace, e dot current target dot ID, and we'll set up the ID in a second. And then now we need to go ahead and make sure we put this last part in the right place. So we need to come down to about line 91. So it's going to be, I think it doesn't matter where this goes. Let's see. I think as long as we just put it above this notification, we should be okay. So we're going to put it here, and we're just going to go ahead and say community, and like so. So if there's a community, we're going to go ahead and have a p tag with the class, whoops, not class name, ID equal to curly braces, backticks, and then $ curly brace, community.community ID. That'll be our ID, and then we'll have a class name equal to post community, and then finally on click is going to go ahead and equal to open community. We're not going to be able to see much with the on click just yet because we need to go ahead and obviously set up the community page itself, but we can at least probably navigate. We're going to go ahead and need our communities filled SVG, which we did create, and this is going to have a height equal to 14, it's going to have a width equal to 14, and then it's going to go ahead and have a color equal to, and we're going to say pound AA, B, and 8, and C2. Let's go ahead and close this. And then below this, we're going to have a span with a class name equal to, and this is going to be post dash maybe community dash name. And then here, we're just going to go ahead and say community dot community name. Okay, so now if we pass a community to this, it's going to go ahead and display it. And then basically, whenever we go and get and initialize the communities Explorer, we're going to go ahead and map through all of the posts that we get back from Explorer and then include that community name. So now we need to go ahead and actually style this. Let's go ahead and open up our post CSS and style this real quick. Inside here, I don't think it really matters where it goes. Let's go ahead and throw it under here. We're going to say .post dash community, maybe. There we go. Post community. We're going to set margin to 0. We're going to set padding. Actually, we're going to say margin, margin, and then bottom. This one is going to be -8px, just to get some spacing proper. Padding, we're going to say 4px, 0px, 0px, and then 40px. It's a little bit strange, but we'll see if it works. Display flex, and then justify content. It's going to be flex-start. We're going to align items, align items in the center. And we're going to have a small gap of about 8px. And then we're going to have our dot post dash community, maybe dash name. Inside post community name, color is going to be pound AA, and then B8 C2. Then we're going to go ahead and have a font dash size of 13px and a font dash weight of 400. And then finally, we also need a hover. The post community, maybe dash name hover. So here is kind of a cursor pointer and a text dash decoration of underline. So now that should be everything we need inside of our post. So what we need to go ahead and do next is actually create the Communities Explorer page. So now all it's doing is working on a skeleton. So we'll see if we have time to continue working on the next piece, which is a like a list that lets you slide back and forth. And we might be able to like make the skeleton really quick and then kind of go from there, because this is actually going pretty quickly here. But let's go ahead and open up this guy and go into our not slices, go into our features and our communities and components. And then we're going to go ahead and make a communities explore component slash communities explore .tsx, and then a communities explore.css. So this is actually a relatively simple component. We just have a more complicated component that goes inside of it that I don't know how much we're going to be able to get done of it today. So now we're going to go ahead and import our React from React. Also go ahead and import our // and communities explore.css. Go ahead and export const communities explore, which is a react.fc. And we'll deal with any props that we need later. Let's just go ahead and get a return statement going. So then we'll return, and here we have a div with a class name equal to communities -explore. Let's go ahead and take a look. So this one is not going to take any props. We do need a little bit of state. So say const, we'll grab logged in. We'll also go ahead and grab token. It's going to be equal to and use selector like so. We're going to go ahead and say our state and root state, bring that in. And this is going to be state.user. We also go ahead and need our discovery post, so discovery and post, and then we also need loading is equal to use selector, and then state is root state, and then we're going to go ahead and bring in our state.communities, and then finally we need a dispatch, so const dispatch is an app dispatch type equal to use dispatch. Go ahead and bring in use dispatch and import everything. Looks good. Now we need a use effect to actually fetch the communities, so use effect. And let's go ahead and bring this in. This is just going to run whenever the token and login change. So logged in and token, because you need those to actually fetch the data. So if we have our logged in and we have our token, so and token, whoopsies, there we go. If we have both of these, we'll go ahead and dispatch and initialize communities explore. Let's go ahead and import that. Pass in the token for our header, and then also we want to go ahead and set up a return to reset the state. Go ahead and make an arrow function on the return. Here we're going to go ahead and dispatch. We want to go ahead and dispatch reset explore state and go ahead and import that as well. So then whenever we leave the communities explorer page, it will also allow us to kind of refresh it. So that is all the state and actions we need at this current time. We're going to go ahead and make a kind of like a skeleton component. It's going to be called communities, categories, and list, like so. And this one we might make the skeleton for this episode. We're just going to see how much time we have left here. And then below this, we're going to go ahead and check to see if we're loading. If we are loading, we're going to go ahead and have a div, the class name equal to, and communities -explore -loading. This should have been like its own component. Like this should have been just like a Twitter loading component or something, but it is what it is. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and have a fragment. I don't want it to break on us. Let's go ahead and make that fragment. Now inside of our loading, we're going to go ahead and have a circular progress. Import that from Material UI. Size is going to equal to 20. And then we're going to have an SX equal to color. And the color is going to go ahead and be pound 1DA1F2, our Twitter blue color. And then let's go ahead, and it looks like it imported properly. Terrific. And then all we're going to go ahead and do is say discovery post, discovery post dot map, like so. And then we're going to go ahead and have our community post like so, and an arrow function. And then we're going to go ahead and we need to map it to a feed post first. So we're going to say const feed post is a feed post type equal to, and the post is going to be the community dot and then post, or community post dot post, and then our reply to will just be null. We're going to have a repost as false, and then our repost user, that's just going to be our community post, and then dot post dot author. Then we have our feed post. Now we can go ahead and return our post object itself. Let's go and import that from our post component. Here we have our feed post equal to the feed post that we just mapped. We're going to go ahead and have our notification equal to false, obviously, because it's not on the notification page. And then community is going to equal to the community post dot community. And then we can go ahead and close out this. Make sure there's no errors. That looks good. So now in theory, like if we were to load onto the communities page, we should be able to see this. But first, let's go ahead and start working on styling this. That way it doesn't look completely jank. And then we can go ahead and take a look after that. So let's hop into the community. So let's go ahead and hop into the Communities Explorer CSS. So in here, we'll go ahead and say dot communities dash explore. Here we'll say width is 100%. We'll also say height is 100%. Looks good. Then we're going to say dot communities dash explore dash loading. And here we're going to say width is 100%. We'll say height is 100%. And then we'll say padding on the top is about 32px. We're going to say display flex, and then we will justify content in the center, and we'll align items in the flex dash start. So that is good to go there. Now what we need to go ahead and do is actually bring this into the communities page so it loads up. So let's hop into the communities page. Inside our communities page, we need to come down, and we should have a switch for our Explore. So render page content right here for case explore. So now instead of having this, we'll go ahead and have our communities explore and bring that in. So now whenever we load into this and it loads up the communities explore page, it should actually render this properly. We shouldn't have anything we need to do specifically for the communities top bar because it's already kind of preset for the communities explorer. So let's go ahead and just try to give this a refresh, make sure everything works. And then we'll go ahead and start taking a look at the community category list. I don't think we're going to get everywhere on it. We'll just kind of see what we get because it's very large. So we're not going to have time to do all of it, but we might be able to at least start with like a skeleton and getting stuff in there. So let's go and hop into the web page and see what we're looking at right now. So obviously it looks like this guy is not quite in the right place. So we need to go ahead and debug that. We can kind of see how this is looking. And if we click on this, it should take us to that community and go back. So we need to go and take a look. I did not put this in the right spot. So let's go ahead and see what's going on with the post. So this is obviously not in the right place. Let's go ahead and actually move this up here maybe. It might need to go here. And let's take a look at it again. There we go, looks a lot better. And this is kind of how it looks. This margin on the left might be a little bit strong, but I'm pretty sure this is how it was looking on Twitter. So this is what this looks like. Now we need to go ahead and make this like scroll bar up here. Again, we're not going to get to all of the scroll bar just because it's going to be a pretty long process building all of this and doing everything. Let's go ahead and just see if we can't just get started with like the styling and getting everything kind of put up. We'll see, and then kind of go from there. So let's go and hop back into the code, work on this for a little bit longer and see where we get to today. So let's go ahead and hop back into our Explorer here. And we need to make a new component. So let's go ahead and make a new component, and it's going to be called communities and categories and list / communities categories and then list.tsx. Go ahead and make a communities categories list.css. Go and hop in here. So this needs a couple different components inside of it. What I'm thinking that we try to do is we try to just get it so that it is there and then style it, and then the next episode we can come back and actually start adding some of the logic into it. Let me go ahead and move this CSS up a little bit and kind of go from there. This is going to be kind of jank, I think. So we'll see what happens here. Next episode might be slightly off as well. Let me just go ahead and move this up a little bit. And maybe we have time to do all of it, I don't know, but it's quite a bit of code. We're just kind of need to shuffle some things around. So let's go ahead and first get rid of our side panel. Just import React from React. Then let's also go ahead and import our / and communities and categories list.css. And then here we're going to go ahead and say export const, and this is going to be communities and categories list is a react.fc. And then here we need to fetch type inside of these props. This is going to be a string. And then here we'll go ahead and export these or kind of extract them. This will be fetch type like so, and do one of these. There we go. Let's fix this. This looks kind of ugly. Now we're good. Now we can go ahead and return. And then here we'll go ahead and say div class name equal to, and this is going to be communities dash categories dash list. Okay. Now we're ready to go ahead and start working in here. So now let's go ahead and say const parent ref is equal to, it's going to be use ref. And there's going to be some stuff we need to create, and we'll create it in the next episode. But here we're going to say use ref. It's going to be on HTML div element, and then start out as null. We're also going to say const, and this one's going to be overflow ref is equal to use ref. And this is also going to be on HTML div element as well, and start that out as null. We'll use those in a later episode. We're going to need our token, so const token is equal to use selector. We're going to use selector state of type root state, bring in our root state, and then here that's going to be state.user. Next we need a dispatch, so const dispatch equal to a type of app dispatch like so, equal to, and then use dispatch. Looks great. And then now we need a couple of pieces of local state, so const active type, and then set active type is equal to use state. And then here this is going to go ahead and be a string, so let's go ahead and say string, and it's going to go ahead and start out as that. Then we're going to have a const and types types list, and set types list is equal to a use state, and this one is going to be a string array, I believe. Yep, string array. And then here we're going to do some arrow function logic in a little bit. So right now it's going to go ahead and return an empty array, but that's going to have some logic in it later. And then finally we have a const and show back icon, and set show back icon is equal to use state. This is going to be a boolean, and then here we're just going to start that out as false. So that's all of our state we need. And then we need to go ahead and just set up a couple of like placeholder functions. So first we have a const and handle select category. Handle select category is equal to e react.mouse event, like a type. It's going to be on HTML div element like so. Go and open this up. Here we're just going to use stop propagation, and then we're going to have a const get post or communities for category. There we go, equal to e react.mouse event on HTML div element. And then we'll go ahead and open this guy up, and then once again e.stop propagation just for good measures. We'll have our const handle unselect category like so is equal to e react.mouse event. If I could type properly, this will be on HTML div element as well. Go and open this up, and then e.stop propagation. So that's kind of like all the logic we're going to have to fill out in the next episode. We're not going to have time to do it in this one probably. But let's go ahead and continue working here. And it looks like there's some stuff here that I forgot to take out. Let's see. So there's some stuff we're not going to be able to add in at the current moment. We also need to make a couple more things here. So for the time being, I'm going to go ahead and just make a temporary piece of state, temp state, and it's going to be const allow scroll left equal to true for the time being, and const allow scroll right equal to true. And then we also need to go ahead and make a couple more handlers This is because I don't have time to work on a hook that we're gonna need, and it looks like I just forgot to actually take these out. But we also have a const. I think actually scroll right and scroll left are also from the handler, so, or from the hook. So also just gonna go ahead and say const and scroll left is equal to an arrow function that doesn't do anything for the time being, and then our const scroll right is also a function that doesn't do anything. Like I said, these are all temporary. We're going to go ahead and replace these in a little bit. But now we're going to go ahead and come down to our actual component, our skeleton component. And this is going to say on mouse over is equal to, and this is going to be handle hover. And I guess I don't have a handle hover either. Interesting. On mouse leave. Looks like I missed even more stuff somehow. I don't know how I dealt with this. Handle unhover. So we also need to go ahead and make these. I don't know how I missed these ones. Const handle hover is equal to e react dot mouse event on HTML. Whoops, HTML div element. Okay, this one I don't think we really need the e, so we go ahead and do this. I don't know how I missed this one. I'm going to go back in GitHub maybe and make sure I'm not missing anything. Handle unhover equal to, and do one of these. Okay, so now we have our handle hover, handle unhover. Whenever I went through and made these episodes and put blocks, I probably just missed some stuff because there's a lot of stuff in this. We're going to start with allow and scroll left. And keep in mind, this is going to come from a different place eventually. Here, we're going to go and say a div, the class name equal to, and here's going to be communities dash categories dash, and this was a list scroll icon style equal to, we're going to say left, whoops, is going to be, if I could type that'd be cool, left will be 8px. Then we'll have an on click on this guy. On click is going to be equal to scroll left. Go and open this div up, and then inside the div we're going to have an arrow and back from material UI. SX is equal to, we'll have a height of 20px, whoops, 20px. We're going to have a width of 20px if I could type, and a color of white. And I think this is one of those things that like changed whenever I was working on it and then changed back, so that's kind of fun, but it is what it is. Let's go ahead and give this a second to actually import. Maybe if it wants to import, should go in a second. There we go. Come on, buddy, you can do it. It imported, so we just need to wait. There we go. And then we're gonna have a div with a class name equal to, and here we're gonna say communities dash categories dash list dash scroll area, and then ref gonna be equal to and parent ref. So this is the complicated part that we're gonna work on in another episode, but bear with me here. Div class name equal to communities dash categories list, and then overflow dash parent, like so. Okay, and then inside of overflow parent we have a div with a class name equal to communities dash categories, whoops, categories list dash and categories. All right, and then inside our categories we're going to say active type, whoops, active type, if I could type, not equal to an empty string, and we have our show, if I could type please, and show back icon. Okay, and then so if we should show our back icon, we're going to go ahead and have another div class name equal to communities dash and then category dash list dash back. On click, who knows if this even exists, handle unselect category, we actually created that one, it's pretty good for us. And then here we're going to go ahead and have a material UI icon, so arrow, whoops, arrow upward. Go ahead and import that from material UI, and then SX equal to, here we're going to say that the, whoops, width is equal to 20px, and let's make sure we do this right, colon, and then do this, breaking everything, height will be equal to 20px, and then the color is just going to be black. So let's go ahead and close that. And then we need to come down here, and we're going to go ahead and map through the types list, and then .map, do each type, and do an arrow function, return, and then we need to make another custom component here. That's what it's called community category, and then we can do one of these. So now the div's mad at us because upward arrow, but that is fine. And then what we want to go ahead and do is come outside of our scroll area. So let's come to this scroll area, come down here, and then we need to go ahead and make another thing that says allow and scroll right, and then and if we're allowing scroll right, we'll go ahead and have another div with a class name equal to communities dash categories, categories dash, and then this is going to be list scroll icon again, and then style on this one is going to go ahead and be right of 8px instead of left of 8px. Then on click is going to go ahead and equal to scroll right. Once again, this is going to come from a hook that we set up probably in the next episode at this point, maybe a little bit later on. I might need to reorganize some stuff here and totally wreck everything, but we're going to have an arrow forward. Go ahead and bring that in from Interior UI, and then this is going to be sx equal to height of 20px. We'll go ahead and have a width of 20px, and then finally we're going to have a color of white, and do that. And then we just need to make sure this imports. And then what we need to go ahead and do next is set up the communities category list category, or just called community category, I guess. And that's just going to come straight inside this. And then we'll do the styling, and then we'll call an episode. And then hopefully in the next episode, we actually go through and start setting up the hook and stuff. We'll just have to see. So this one is going to be probably a little bit longer, but the last couple were pretty short, so I think we can make it work. So next we need to set up an interface called community category and props. And inside this interface, we're going to go ahead and have the category, which is a string. We're going to go ahead and have the active type, which is a string. We're also going to have a handle and select category. And this is going to go ahead and be a function, takes an e, react.mouse event on an HTML div element, and then this is going to return void packet type. There we go. And then we're going to go ahead and give ourselves some space. Const community category. This is a very simple component. We just wanted to make it easy on ourselves. Props, and then this is going to be community category props. Go ahead and make our arrow function. Here it was going to say const and category and active type and handle bucket type, select category is equal to our props, and all we're going to do is return, and inside here we'll have a div with a class name equal to, and this is going to be a little bit of a mouthful, communities dash categories, like so. And we'll have a space, $ curly brace, and category is equal to our active type, packet type, question mark. If that's the case, let's go ahead and make sure we set this up right. Okay, so if the category is equal to active type, we'll say communities dash category dash active. We're not going to see much of this in this episode. We'll see it hopefully in the next episode. And then communities dash category dash and then deactive. Hopefully I spelled that right. There's a good chance I break that. Our ID is gonna go ahead and equal to the category that we passed in, and then on click is gonna go ahead and equal to handle select category. It is not happy with us right now because it's not actually, the IntelliSense isn't working, so that's gonna be fun. Handle select category. I'm gonna go ahead and close off this div. Oh, it's excuse me, because we didn't do the return right. There we go. That should fix that. And then inside the div, we're simply just going to go ahead and have the category. Cool. And then now here, what we'll go ahead and do is do this. And then this will go ahead and be our community category. Type will equal to the type we have here. Active type will equal to the active type that we have here. And then our handle select category will equal to handle select category. Whoops. Handle select category, like so. Looks good. And we wanted to clean this up a little bit. We could just do one of these like this, and then like this. So now what you go ahead and do is actually style this guy up. Whoopsie daisies, category. Now we need to go ahead and style this guy up, and I definitely broke this. And then there's going to be a lot of work we need to do in the next episode to fix this up to make it actually function properly. But hopefully we should be able to at least get it there. We're not going to be able to see any of the categories, because the categories requires quite a bit of work to set up the list and everything. But let's go ahead and get through the CSS of this. Make sure we don't have any errors. Hopefully we don't typo any CSS. Get it into our component, and the next episode we'll start working on the logic. Inside our CSS, go inside of our communities. Oops, communities dash categories dash list. I'm actually going to go ahead and cheat a little bit and copy this, and hopefully I did in fact spell all the other stuff properly. But here inside of community category list, width is going to be 600 px. This is important. Our height is going to be 60 px. Oops, 60 px. And then we're going to have a margin of 0. We're going to have a padding of 0 and 8 px, and then we're going to have a position of relative, and then finally a display of flex. Paste this in. Next we're going to go ahead and have a communities list ::, and this one's kind of fun. WebKit dash scroll bar. We're going to hide the scroll bar on this, so here we're going to say display none. Okay, and then let's go ahead and paste this in again. Communities list dash, and then our scroll icon. Our scroll icon width is going to go ahead and be 34 px. Our height is going to be 34 px. And then we're going to display flex this. Whoops, display flex. And justify content in the center. We'll align items in the center. And then we'll say a border of none with a border radius of 100%. We're going to go ahead and have a background, whoopsie daisies, background dash color of RGBA 0,0,0.7 is black. That's slightly see-through. Position is going to go ahead and be absolute. We're going to go ahead and say top 50%. We're going to center it. So we're going to say transform, and there's going to be a translate Y of -50%. And then finally, we're going to have a Z index of 500. We should really go back through all of our Z indexes, but it is what it is. Paste this in again, and we're going to go ahead and have our scroll icon, icon : hover. Inside hover, we're just going to have a cursor, a pointer, and then a background, background dash color. And this one's going to be RGBA 0,0,0. It's going to get slightly lighter with a 0.6. Next up, we need the scroll area. So let's paste this in. A communities category list, scroll dash area. Inside scroll area, width is going to be 100%. We're going to have an overflow of hidden. We're going to go ahead and have an overflow X of scroll. We're going to go ahead and say overflow Y is hidden. And then dash MS dash overflow, overflow style is going to be none. And then we're going to have a scroll dash bar or scroll bar dash width of none as well. We don't want the default scroll bar go inside the side there, so we want to make our own. And this is going to be really fun because I had a lot of issues getting this to work. So if I typo anything, it's going to be a really fun time fixing this. Next over communities list, and then overflow, overflow and parent. So overflow parent width will be fit dash content, and then our height is going to fill the entire area, so height 100%. Then we'll have our list dash categories, categories. There we go. Here, categories, our height is going to be 100% of the parent. Our width is just going to go ahead and fit the content size. And then we're going to say display flex. We're going to justify content in the flex dash start. We're going to align items in the center. Then we have our dot communities dash categories. So this one is slightly different. It's actually just category. Make sure we spell that right. So community category. Width is going to be fit dash content. We're going to go ahead and say min dash height on this guy is actually min width is fit dash content because we had some issues with this. Height will be 30px. We're going to go ahead and say padding is 0 and 16px. Then we'll have a border dash radius of 15px. Make it a pill shape. Display flex this. We're going to go ahead and say flex 0 auto. And then we'll have a justify content in the center. Align items. If I could type, whoops, align items. This one is going to be center. And then we'll say font dash size on it is 15px. And a font dash weight of 600. And then we need our deactive and a couple other things. So next we'll say dot communities dash category. Oops, communities category dash, and then we'll have deactive. If it's deactive, the color is going to be black. So black text. Background dash color going to be transparent. Bringing that in. And then we're going to have a border of 1px. Solid, and then this is going to go ahead and be pound E1, E8, and then ED. Whoops, ED. There we go. And we need our communities dash category dash deactive colon hover. So if we're hovering over a deactive one, we're going to say whoops, cursor. If I could type, cursor is pointer, and then we're going to go ahead and have a background color. Background, if I could type, background dash color, and this is going to be RGBA, and this will be 0, 0, 0, and then 0.05, very light. Then our dot communities dash category, if I could type, dash active. So if it's active, we're going to say color is white. We're going to have a background dash color, whoops, background color. And this is going to be a Twitter blue, so pound 1D A1 F2. I think I spelled it right. Border will be none on this one. We need our communities dash category. Oh my goodness, dash active colon hover. Here we'll go ahead and say cursor. Cursor is pointer, and then we're gonna have a background. If I could type, background color RGBA, and this one's going to be 29, 161, 242, 0.9, so make it slightly see-through. And then we need like one or two more things here. So lastly, we need our back. So dot communities categories list, or categories list dash, and this one is going to be back. And I spelled that one wrong because this one is category list back and this one says categories. So hopefully I spelled all these right. I might have spelled some stuff wrong. We'll see here. That's going to be fun. So back is going to be width of 32px. We're going to have a height, whoops, a min dash width of 32px. We're going to go ahead and have a height of 32px. I could type a min height of 32px, and then we're going to say border 1px solid pound, and this is going to be E1, whoops, E1 and E8 ED, like so. Then we're going to say border dash radius is 100%. We're going to go ahead and say display flex. We're going to go ahead and justify content in the center and align items in the center. And then finally, of our communities dash categories list dash back colon hover. Here we'll go ahead and say cursor is pointer, And then we're going to go ahead and have a background dash color RGBA. And it's going to be 0, 0, 0, and then 0.05. So now we need to make sure that we actually spelled this community's categories. So let's go and hop back into community categories. So here we have community categories list with an S, categories with an S, category list back. Let's make sure we spell it like that. Categories, categories, categories. Okay, all of those are with S's. That looks fine. So right now things are not going to look 100%, but we do have like our component in place. Let's go back in the communities explorer component and actually add this in, and then make sure things are looking okay. And then the next episode we'll go through and actually start creating this. So in our communities explorer, we're going to go ahead and get rid of this guy and say communities categories list, and then here fetch type is going to equal to the post. Go ahead and do that and save it. So right now I don't have super high hopes of this looking great. What we're most likely going to go and see is just a couple of icons on the left and right, and then nothing inside because we don't have anything to render. So let's just make sure we can see that, make sure we don't see any obviously bad broken CSS, and then we'll go ahead and continue in the next episode. We'll go through, try to add in some of those scroll options, and then hopefully we'll make the hook so it actually works. I need to go through and actually see what I have planned, but let's go and hop into the front end and see what we're looking like here. Okay, so it looks like we did something here wrong. Type blah 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 is not assignable to this. Type does not exist on this type. Okay, so I broke something here. Let's double check that. So here, let's scroll back down. Oh, it's called category, not type. So go ahead and put category in there, and I broke it again. There we go. Let's try this again. Looks better. So now you can see right now these are showing up no matter what, and that's because we don't actually have the state that we need in there. So once we go ahead and actually set up all the state and everything there, that should look a lot better. But that's going to go ahead and do it for that. Well, that's going to go ahead and do it for this episode. We went ahead and got all of this loaded in, and we got started on the categories list, which we'll go ahead and wrap up in the next episode. It was just way too long for this one. So as always, y'all, if you did enjoy, please like, comment, and subscribe. Everything helps out here with the YouTube algorithm. And if you do want to see where we start from absolute scratch to get the point out, there's going to be a playlist and an end card coming right up. With that being said, y'all, this has been Ethan or Uncoder. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next video. Alright, let's see if we crash this stream trying to remux this recording. Alright. I appreciate you. Alright, so there was that one. I do need to go to the restroom. It looks like we might have... Oh, never mind, that's fine. My microphone is definitely working. I can see it moving. Alright, I need to use the restroom real quick. I also need to move some stuff around here. So I'm going to go ahead and move episode 293 and move this down here. Like so. And then we'll kind of see from here what we want to do, because there's still quite a bit of stuff that we need to do. I can try to make this 293 here and try to finish this whole thing. I think that's going to be a lot of work, but we might be able to do it because we got a lot of the CSS done. So we'll see here, but that is a lot of code, so we might not be able to get everything done that we want to get done. But also I don't want to push this thing out that much, so we'll just see here. I can probably copy paste this part, but yeah, I'm going to use the restroom real quick. I do have to go, and then we're going to go ahead and start up the next episode after that. Alrighty, y'all. So before I start the next episode, I do need to do some rearranging of some episode stuff. So right now we have it so we can click on some stuff. I think that we want to bring up or use horizontal scroll hook. I know you guys can't see this right now, and that's fine. And let me copy this up. I know y'all can't see this, but that's absolutely fine. So let's see here. Set up handler functions that don't require Redux. I'm going to move this up first. Like so. Okay. And we can add that, and then we can do the community utils. That's fine. Set up handler functions that don't require Redux. Perfect. Handle unselect. We don't need this. So now, I don't know that we need to update community slice to be able to finish community category list component. What I kind of want to do is I want to look at where we're using the type for fetch community. Oh wait, I guess we do need to fetch communities by type. Okay. The thing is, I don't know that we need fetch post by type. I guess we do need this. Well, okay, we'll keep all of that, I guess. So this next one's also going to be pretty long. I will be able to copy paste some of it. And we'll see if it gets super duper long. I might, oh, I might need to get up in a sec. If it gets super duper long, I might move some of it into like the next episode. We'll see. But I don't want to split this category list component up into too many episodes. I kind of want to just get it done in as few episodes as possible. So like if we can get it done in 2 episodes that are a little bit longer, I think that'll be overall a dub. So that's what we might try to do. So let's go ahead and hide episode 291. We're only going to get 2 episodes done today because it's already 6 o'clock, and if this takes another hour, then I need to get ready for work. You take the trash out for the trash truck comes and all that stuff. So it is what it is, but we got at least 2 more episodes ready for the backlog. That'd be like a week and a half. Plus I'm planning to upload the full episode. I'll plan to like upload a full episode of the Freedom Tracker in the next couple weeks as well. So that'll also kind of split it up, but I'm going to go ahead and grab a sip of coffee here. And then let's go ahead and I'm going to pull up our OBS. Let me grab my hat because my hair is awful. I'm going bald. Got to hide that shit. All right. So we should be good to start recording, I believe. I'm going to grab another sip of coffee. We're going to set up the use horizontal scroll hook so we can scroll left and right on this guy. And then also fill out the rest of it. And I might need to get up in a sec. We'll see. I'm probably going to get interrupted during this recording. Alright, let's go ahead and get this started. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode here on Let's Build Twitter. As always, I'm Ethan, or Unknown Coder, your favorite underqualified senior software engineer. And as always, if you guys do want access to the private repository for this project, what you need to go ahead and do is subscribe to the repository tier membership here on this channel, and that'll go ahead and unlock you a form where you can go ahead and submit submit a request for access for this specific repository, as well as any other private repositories I might have available at this time. With that being said, just going to hop into working on today. Today we're going to go ahead and try to finish working on this component here, this scroll bar component. We'll see how far we get. It's probably going to be a little bit of a longer episode once again, but I don't want to split this component up into too many episodes. What we need to go ahead and do is we need to work on a hook that allows us to scroll left and right on this guy, and when to actually show these icons properly. And then we need to go ahead and start working on actually getting all of these in here and being able to click on these components or click on these categories and load up different things the way that it should be loaded up. So that being said, let's go and hop into the code, get to work, and see where we get to today. Back inside of our code where we left off in the last episode, let's go and open this guy up. Oh, we need to go into our hooks. Can't speak, I'm sorry. We didn't make a use horizontal scroll.ts, and let's go ahead and open this up and hop in here. So this is going to basically allow us to know how we're going to scroll left and right inside of these horizontal scroll bars. And I decided to make this into a hook because there's a couple different places inside of Twitter that allows you to scroll left and right like that. It's kind of annoying, but it is what it is. But we're going to say export and function, and we're going to go ahead and call this use horizontal, if I could type, horizontal and scroll. And this is going to take in two things. So this is going to go ahead and take in the parent ref, which is going to be a react.ref object. And this is going to go ahead and be on HTML div element. And this is also going to go ahead and need the overflow ref. So overflow ref is going to be react.ref object as well on an HTML div element. So if you guys remember in the last episode, we set up those refs inside of the scroll container or the categories list. That's what these are for. So now we need to go ahead and set up some state. So const, first one is going to be scroll amount, and set scroll amount. And this is going to be equal to use state of a number. Number. There we go. And this is going to start out as 0. We have a const, and this is going to be allow scroll right, and set allow scroll right is equal to use state, and this is going to be a boolean, and we're going to start this out as false. Next one, say const and then allow scroll left, and set allow and scroll left is equal to use state of boolean. This will be false. And then finally we'll have const and scroll page, that scroll page is equal to, and then use state, and this one is going to be a number of 0. So I still want to say that this is not a perfect science. This component or this hook works pretty well, but it's not 100%. Basically, this is going to, let's fix this. What these different pieces of state are going to do is this is going to basically say how many pixels left or right are we going to scroll. This one is going to keep track of how many times we've scrolled, and then this one is going to be able to say, hey, we're at the end on the left or the right, so don't let them scroll. Cool. So first we need to say const calculate and then scroll amount, and this is going to do exactly what we think. How much can we scroll left or right? So let's go make an arrow function. We're going to say if our parent ref and our parent ref dot current, and we need to go ahead and check for overflow ref, overflow ref, and overflow ref dot current. It's very important that we get this logic right, otherwise it's not going to work whatsoever. So I'm a little bit scared of this, but we'll see if everything works at the end of this. We're going to say const parent length is equal to parent ref dot current dot and then client width, like so. I'm going to say const overflow width is equal to overflow ref dot current and then client width, so we can see how long these actual components are. We're going to check to see if the parent width or parent length. Why did I spell length and one width? Who knows? Parent length is greater than overflow width. Then we're going to say const overflow is equal to parent length. Again, I don't know why I spelled them differently. Const pages is going to equal to overflow width divided by our parent length. And then finally, we're going to say const scroll length is equal to overflow divided by pages. Let's set scroll amount to that scroll length. So simply what we're doing here, or like as a simple explanation, we're getting the lengths or the widths, whatever you want to call them, of the actual components or actual HTML elements on the page with these refs. And we're going to see if the overflow or if the parent is smaller than the overflow, so it's actually overflowing out of the parent component. And then we're just going to basically say, hey, is it double the size, triple the size, quadruple the size? And then that's kind of how we're getting how many pages and how far to scroll, basically. So there's that. Next, I'm going to say const scroll left is equal to e, and this is a react.mouse event on an HTML div element. And let's go ahead and make our arrow function. If I could not stop messing up here. So e.prevent default, like so. And then if our parent ref and our parent ref.current. Here we're going to say parent ref.current.scroll by. And then here we're going to go ahead and have an object. Left is going to be negative scroll amount, comma, and then behavior is going to go ahead and be smooth. So basically we want to scroll the negative scroll amount. So that's basically scroll left by that amount, and then set scroll page. And this is going to go ahead and be an arrow function with page. We're going to say page -1. So now if we're on page 1 of the scroll, we'll be on page 0 of the scroll, so on and so forth. And we'll have const scroll right equal to e react.mouse event on HTML div element. That our arrow function here. We need to do something similar once again. E.prevent default, and then if our parent ref, once again parent ref, and our parent ref.current. So if we have both of these, for the right we're going to go ahead and say parent ref.current.scroll by. And here, once again, we're going to go ahead and say left because the right is not an option. I think we add an extra one of these. So left is just going to be scroll amount. Scroll amount. And then once again, behavior, bucket type, it's going to go ahead and be smooth. And then once again, we're going to go ahead and say set scroll page. And this will be page. And this will be page +1. So now we can scroll left, we can scroll right, and it's going to go ahead and scroll us left or right by whatever the scroll amount that we calculated was. Now we can say const handle hover is equal to, and I think this is why handle hover didn't exist inside of our other component. So here we're going to go ahead and call calculate scroll amount. So we can go ahead and set that. Then we're going to set check if the parent ref and the parent ref.current and the overflow ref, overflow ref and overflow ref.current. And I think we have a couple other things. Parent ref, overflow ref, and then we're going to say and our overflow, overflow ref.current.client width. And I broke it, that's cool, is less than or equal to our parent ref, and I feel like this moved backwards, but it is what is less than or equal to parent ref dot current dot client width. It works, so I'm not going to change it. So we're going to say set allow scroll left false and set allow scroll right to false. It actually makes sense. If we're not overflowing, we're going to not allow them to scroll left and right, so it actually does make sense. And then otherwise we're going to set allow scroll left first. This is going to be equal to an arrow function. And then in here, let's go and open this up and make it look a little bit better. Here we're going to go ahead and say if our parent ref and our parent ref dot current, like so. We're going to go ahead and return math.floor. I could type math.floor, and then here we're going to say parent ref.current.scroll left is greater than 0. So if we have basically, how does this work? I don't remember the exact logic. Basically, if we've scrolled left but not all the way to the end, then we're going to go ahead and allow them to continue scrolling. Return false. And then we'll also go ahead and set scroll right. So set allow scroll right arrow function as well. So here we're going to say if the parent ref and the parent ref dot current, and the overflow ref, overflow ref, and the overflow bucket type, overflow ref dot current. Okay, so if this is the case, we're going to say return and overflow ref dot current dot get, and this is going to be get bounding client rectangle dot right is greater than parent ref dot current dot get and bounding client rect dot right. So basically, are we outside of that? Okay, otherwise return false if something goes wrong, basically. So if the parent ref somehow isn't available or the overflow ref isn't available, just return false by default. Otherwise, check to see if we've gone farther to the right or if we are negative on the left. Okay, and then we need a const handle unhover. I don't know if we ever actually end up using this, but we'll go ahead and export it as well. So here we're going to say set and allow scroll right. I think we actually do left first. It doesn't really matter. Left false and set allow and scroll right to false. Just reset that state. And then we have our use effect. So use effect, go and import that. And we're almost done. So here we'll go ahead and watch for the scroll page to change. And if the scroll page to change, we're going to check if the parent ref and the parent ref dot current and the overflow ref and the overflow ref dot current. So if all of these are true and the scroll page changes, we're going to call handle hover again, which will go ahead and recalculate all that stuff that we need to determine whether or not we can scroll left or right and all of that good stuff. And finally, we can return, and we can go ahead and return allow scroll left. We can allow scroll right. We can go ahead and pass back scroll left. We can go ahead and pass scroll right, and then we can go ahead and handle hover and handle unhover. So that's why we were missing some of that stuff inside of our other component, because this all coming from this guy. Now this one scares me because if this one we type with something, this entire thing's not going to work and we're going to be pulling our hair out forever. So what's going to happen here is if this doesn't work, if I type with something inside this component, I'm just going to copy paste it and we'll try to figure out, you guys can try to spot what was different. I'm not going to fight it for an hour because this one's very finicky and it's, like I said, it's not 100% perfect, but it works pretty well. So let's go ahead and hop back into a community categories or communities categories and add this in and start making some updates. That way we can actually use this. So in our community categories list, basically we want to get rid of this scroll right. Actually, we can actually keep these, but we need to get rid of these because these are temporary. We need to get rid of these temp state as well. And basically what we can go ahead and do is say const. We can say allow and scroll left, allow scroll right. We can have our scroll left, we can have our scroll right, and then we can go ahead and have our handle hover and our handle unhover. And this is going to be equal to our use horizontal scroll. Go ahead and bring that in of our parent ref and our overflow ref. So in theory, we shouldn't have any errors because we already kind of set those up as like temporary values and we can just kind of plug them straight in, no refactoring needed. Now, the only thing is whenever we load into our component or load into our web page, what we should see now is effectively like nothing. And let's also go ahead and set up the use effect to unhover. So use effect like so, do this really quick, do this, and then this is just going to go ahead and say handle unhover like so. I don't know if this is supposed to have some other stuff, but there's some like weird funky logic going on whenever we load into the Explorer page where it was popping up the hover for some reason. But basically, since we have nothing inside of our categories list, there's nothing to overflow out of the parent container. We should just see nothing if we hover over it. So If we set up all the logic right, we load into the web page, that's what we should see. Let's go ahead and take a test. So if we hover, we don't see anything, and that is exactly what we expect, because right now this parent component does not have any overflow on it. So obviously it's not going to have any ability to scroll left and right. So that's a good sign. It seems like everything's working. So now what we need to go ahead and do is actually start setting up these categories to fill out this list, that we can kind of scroll left and right, click on them, do all that stuff. We're going to go ahead and make basically a utility file, and I'm going to go ahead and copy paste a map in there, just save a little bit of time. I'll pause for you guys to see it. You can copy it down, and then we can continue. So let's hop back into our code. Back in our code, let's go and open up our Explorer here. We're going to go into our communities feature. We're going to say utils / I'm just going to go ahead and call this community utils. Whoops, utils.ts. I don't think we need a TSX here. I don't think so. So open this up. If we need to change it in the future, we can. So like I said, we're going to copy paste a map here. And I'll kind of walk through it and you guys can paste it in or basically copy it over. So this is going to be basically the categories or the options that we have inside of this map. And the reason that we need this is because whenever you click on some of these categories that have subcategories, it's going to basically replace the list of the categories that gets displayed. So here we have our sports, and the different categories we have in sports are sports, American football, basketball, soccer, baseball. Technology has technology, artificial intelligence, software, art, so on and so forth. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and give this a small pause here, take a sip of coffee, and then you guys can go ahead and copy this down with pausing the video. And then we also need to go ahead and say export const, and this one's going to go ahead and be called get default. If I could type, oh my goodness, default, and type list is equal to, and do one of these. Here we're just going to say const current list is equal to an empty array, and we're going to say for const key in the communities underscore scroll options current list dot push, excuse me, I have the hiccups from that coffee, key, and then return the current list. So basically the default list is just going to be sports, technology, art, entertainment, gaming, politics, business, culture, science, food, animals, education, fashion and beauty, health and fitness, news, cryptocurrency, travel, Twitter. So that's going to be like our default list that we show. And then if we click on one of these, if they have more than just like one item in it, so for example, if we click on football inside a community categories list, the list is going to update to this. Otherwise, if it's just like this, it'll stay the default basically. Cool. So now let's go ahead and deal with actually setting this up inside of our community categories list. Now inside of our community categories list, the first thing that we can go ahead and work on is this types here. So here we're going to go ahead and return our get and default type list like so. So let it go ahead and just start us out with the default type list. Looks good. And then let's go ahead and start working on some of these. So first up, we'll handle select category. So we'll say const and target type. Whoops, target type. And equal to e.current_target.id. We already set this ID up earlier. We're going to say set active type is going to go ahead and equal to that target type. Whoops, like so. And then we're going to say const type key. This one's fun, equal to target type as key of, and then type of, and then communities scroll options. This is just a TypeScript thing. It's kind of annoying, but it is what it is. We're going to say community scroll options, key, whoops. If I could say, do this right, type key, question mark, dot length is equal to 1. If this is the case, we're going to say set show back icon to false and return. Otherwise, we're going to say if, we're going to go ahead and say target type in our community scroll options. We're going to say const updated list is a string array like so, equal to, and community scroll options of that type key. All right, and then we're going to say set types list, set types list equal to that updated list, and then we're going to go ahead and say set show back icon to true. All right, and then this one we're going to say get post or communities for a category. We're going to go ahead and bring in that target type. This one we're going to have to set up a little bit more, and let's go ahead and import this guy. And I guess this is still going to be annoying. Community scroll options. I think I spelled type key wrong. Fix this, type key. There we go. And then here, this guy, I don't think we have this set up yet, possibly. Or let's see here. Get post or communities for categories. This should not take in this. This needs to take in a target type. So let's go ahead and fix this. Target type is a string. So now that that's happy, we can go ahead and delete this. Let's go ahead and talk about what's going on here. So whenever we click on one of those community category components, we're going to go ahead and get the type from the ID and set that as the active type. And then we do some finagling to turn a regular string into a key of the community scroll option. So that's like your sports and all that stuff. If the actual list inside this map is only equal to 1, we're not going to show a back icon. We're just going to go ahead and set, I believe, we're just setting the active type. So to go ahead and say, like, if we click on news, for example, it'll just turn news blue, but it's not going to update the list. Otherwise, if we click on like sports, for example, we'll go ahead and turn the types list to those sports. So it'll be like sports, American football, so on and so forth. We'll go ahead and set the back icon so we can go back. And then we'll also go ahead and fetch those posts or communities. So that looks good. And I think that we're not 100% ready to actually do this guy yet. We're going to set it up, but I think there's still some Redux stuff we have to do here. So we're going to go ahead and start on this. We're going to say if our token, and this is going to be really ugly. We're going to say let body equal to, and this is going to go ahead and be a fetch community, I don't know if this actually exists yet. So I'm just going to go ahead and do one of these for now. Body is going to equal to token. We're going to say type is equal to an empty array to start. And then sub type is none. I think this is one of the situations where this is a type that I set up in Redux, but I haven't actually set up yet because I kind of have things backwards. So we'll kind of deal with that. So if our target, and this part is really ugly, I'm sorry y'all. Target type in community scroll options, body is equal to, and body, comma, and then type is target type, as community, if I could type community type. Okay, and then else, we need to do some other stuff. And this part is the part that gets really gross. So else if our communities underscore scroll options dot sports dot includes the target type. So if we clicked on one of these that are in sports, what we're going to go ahead and say is body is equal to, and then this will be type sports as community type, and then we're going to go ahead and say sub type colon, and then this will be target type, and then as community subtype. I think that we have a community subtype. Yep. Okay. Like so. And then we'll pass in the token. And then unfortunately, we have to go ahead and deal with all of this for the rest of these. So that is sports. Then we're going to come below this. And we're going to say if our community scroll options dot and then technology dot includes the target type. We could have probably done like a switch statement here or something, but it is what it is. Body is going to equal to and type of technology, like a type as community type, and then we're going to have sub type is going to go ahead and be target type as, and then community, oh my goodness, community subtype, and then we'll have our token, and then I'm going to copy paste this. Let's go ahead and copy this, yoink it, and paste it in. Now community scroll options dot art is after technology, I believe. Yep. So art, like I said, this part's not fun. So now type is going to equal to art, and then we'll go ahead and keep target type as this. Go ahead and copy paste this again. So yoink this, and then paste it in here. Next after art is going to be entertainment. So entertainment dot includes. Now type is going to be entertainment. And I haven't been spelling these wrong. No, entertainment. There we go. Target type, and then next will be business. Let's go ahead and copy this, yoink this, paste it. So now we're going to go ahead and say, whoops, entertainment. Now this will go ahead and be business. So business, this will be type business. And I think that I like uppercase these or something. I don't remember exactly how this works, but this is the code that I have, so it's got to work. And then let's go ahead and say paste this. Now we're going to go ahead and say culture. Go ahead and say, whoops, dot culture. Dot includes this. We're going to say culture. Oops. Culture. I don't remember exactly how this works. I think that basically this is a string. We can convert it into all uppercase. But there's that. So basically this is this. And then at the bottom, we'll go ahead and dispatch an event. Dispatch an event that we don't have created yet. So we need to go ahead and create that in Redux. We'll do that in a little bit. But basically we'll use this body to go ahead and make a request to get the specific post or the different communities for that category. Next, we'll go ahead and handle unselect category. So set active type to nothing. And then we'll go ahead and say set types list. And this is going to go ahead and be get default types list. And do that. Here we go. And I think that's basically everything. So at this point, what we should be able to see is hopefully our categories list, because up here we are actually setting the list to the default list type and we're mapping through them here. And now we can actually see we have a bunch of like different CSS issues, and we should also be able to scroll. So knock on wood, let's go and open up the web app and just see if we're working here or if I'm going to cry because there's a bunch of bugs. Probably the latter here. Okay, so we have some issues. Terrific. It looks like we double imported this. I think that's because we had a bug where we typoed. Let's go and fix this. Didn't actually see what the other part looks like, so let's now see. Okay, so the CSS on this guy is broken, which is cool. Let's go ahead and take a look at the CSS. Also, the scroll's not working, so that's also no bueno. So let's see here. Community, category, community. So I typoed category, so let's take a look at that. Oops, communities. So here, this should be community category, I think. Let's take a look again. Okay, still no bueno. And I think I typoed it in the actual component itself, so let's go ahead and fix that as well. So we come down here. This should be community category, not community categories with an S. The community category. Like that, I believe. Maybe it is communities category with an S. And we'll say communities category with an S there. I think that kind of matches the rest of these. Okay, it looks a lot better. So now I wonder why our scroll left and right's not working. And it looks like we're missing a little bit of padding or gap inside of the list. Let's see here. Communities, category, list categories. Let me double check the CSS from last episode. I think we're missing a little bit of spacing here. Yep, we should have a gap on that. I don't know why the overflow is not working. We need to look into that. So our categories should have a gap of 8 px. Okay. There we go. So now I'm not 100% sure why this guy is not working. This is my worst nightmare. Our categories list is there. We have our scroll area like so. That should all be fine. It's like, I guess I can't scroll left and right because I don't have my other mouse. My other mouse broke. Overflow parent is there. As you can see, it is in fact overflowing. Okay, I don't know what's going on with our horizontal scroll. Let's see here. Allow scroll right, allow scroll left, handle unhover. That should all be working. And then we have, let's see here. We have all of this stuff. Hover, unhover. And I believe that we put hover on this guy. Yep, handle hover, handle unhover. Let's just see here inside of our horizontal scroll, see what's going on with this. I don't want to get too in the weeds here. Let's just make sure we're calculating one of these. Okay, and then let's just make sure that we're calling this. Let's see here. Overflow ref. I feel like, no, that should be right. It's less than or equal to that. Overflow ref is definitely wider. Set allow scrolls. Let's just make sure these are happening really quick. Okay. Yep, set allow scrolls. However, I did not see. So, calculate scroll amounts not getting hit. Let's see, parent ref. Parent length is less than overflow width. So it looks like I might have messed this part up. Let's check this really quick. Let's see here. Interesting. It's not. We're not calling this at all. Calculate scroll amount. Calling calculate scroll amount here on handle hover. And this part's definitely going. I don't think it has to do with this guy because we're not scrolling. So calculate scroll amount is not loading. Console.log. Calculate scroll amount. Okay, so calculate scroll amount is working. So why is apparently one of the overflow ref or parent ref is undefined? Let's see which one of these is undefined. It looks like the overflow ref is undefined. Okay, let's check that out. So we have overflow ref equal to use ref. And let's see here, whenever we call this, overflow ref, okay. I thought I put ref, oh, there it is, ref equal to overflow ref, there we go. Let's try again. There we go, now we can scroll left and right, get rid of this. All right, we scroll right. There we go, scroll left. There we go. Now if we click on sports, it changes to this. Now I think you should be able to scroll left on this, but I think that the spacing might be slightly off. Click on this, entertainment. There we go. So now what we need to go ahead and do is actually, when we click on one of these, we need to load in that information. That is looking good. Cool. So let's go and hop back in the code. So let's go and hop back into the code and start working on the Redux slice to be able to actually load that in. That was a good little debug session. Let's go ahead and wrap this episode up by actually being able to fetch this information. Back in our community slice, first we're going to go ahead and make the interface for that payload. So let's go ahead and say export interface, and this is going to go ahead and be fetch community post by type payload, like so. This is going to have a type of type community type. This is going to go ahead and have subtype of community subtype, and then we're going to have our token of string, like so. Then let's come down here and do our async thunks. So export const, export const, and this is going to be fetch communities by type, equal to create async thunk. Here we're going to go ahead and call this communities slash type, and then we're going to go ahead and have our async. Here this is going to take in a payload of type fetch community post by type, and then we'll have our thunk API, like so. Here we're going to go ahead and say const body is equal to, and then this is going to go ahead and be community type is going to go and be payload.type.to uppercase. That's what I figured was going to happen. I just didn't remember. And then community subtype, and we spell it like this. It'll be payload.type.to uppercase as well. Then we're going to go ahead and try and catch. Go ahead and catch E, and then return thunk API.reject with value. Pass in that E. Pass in that E. There we go. And then here, I don't know why this is mattered us, so it's gonna be fun. Const res is equal to await Axios. Axios dot post. And this is gonna be to http:// maybe, and local host :8000 / communities / discovery / type. Pass in that body. If I could type, that'd be cool. And then we're gonna go ahead and have our headers. And in our headers, we'll go ahead and have our authorization. So authorization, like so, backticks, and bear $ curly brace. This will be payload.token. Yep. I think it's because we need to do this. Maybe that's why it's mad at us. Okay, body's fine now. Then we'll go ahead and return our res.data. We don't forget. Then we also want to go ahead and say export const. And this one is going to be fetch community and post by type. Here we're going to say equal to create async thunk. Go ahead and throw in our communities, communities / and this is explore / type, like so. And then here we're going to go ahead and say async, and we're going to have our payload, and the payload is once again going to be fetch community post by type payload. We'll have our thunk API. Go ahead and do our arrow function. Once again, const body is going to be equal to community type community type is going to go be payload dot type dot to uppercase, and then our community sub type can be payload dot subtype dot to uppercase. I think I had some issues trying to actually pass in the community type and subtype as strings, so that's why I just dealt with it this way. And then here, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to set up a try and a catch E, and then we're going to return our thunk API dot reject with value pass back that E. And then we're going to go ahead and come in here, const res is equal to axios dot post once again. And we're going to go ahead and post to HTTP, if I could type properly, http:// and localhost 8000 / once again communities/discovery. There's a lot of this one I can screw up, /post/type, so hopefully I don't mess it up. Pass back that body, and then we need to pass back our headers. So headers, and open this up, we'll have our authorization, and this will be backticks and bear, and then $, curly brace, our payload dot token, and then here we can go ahead and return our res.data as well. And this should be await, I'm guessing, await axios.post. Cool. And then now we already have the initialized suggested communities, I think. Either that or I'm going to go ahead and ignore this initialized suggested communities and move this into the next episode. So one moment here. Now let's go ahead and deal with setting up the actual reducers for these. So let's come below this pending, and we're going to go ahead and say builder dot add case, and we're going to go ahead and first say fetch communities by type dot pending, and then we'll have our state and action, and then do one of these, return our dot state, and then we're going to go ahead and have loading true. Like so. We're going to go ahead and have our error false, and then we're going to go ahead and set discover communities as an empty array, and then we're going to have our builder.add case, and this one is going to be fetch community post by type dot pending. We'll have our state, our action, and our arrow function. Here we're going to return dot state. We're going to go ahead and return loading as true. We'll have our discovery post as an empty array, and then we'll have our discovery communities also as an empty array. Now let's go ahead and set up our fulfilled. So let's come below these fulfilled. Builder.add case. We'll go ahead and make a fulfilled for our fetch communities by type. Here we'll say .fulfilled. We'll have our arrow function state action. Open this up. Return state. Here we'll go ahead and say loading is now false. Error is false. That one's not necessary, but it's what it is. And then discovery communities is going to be action.payload. Then we'll go ahead and set up the next one. So builder.add case. This one's going to be fetch community post by type .fulfilled. Once again, state, not date, state and action. Set up our arrow function, return state. Here we'll go ahead and say loading is false. And we're going to go ahead and set up our discovery post as action.payload. Okay, and then now let's come down to rejected. So under rejected, builder.add case, case for our fetch communities by type dot rejected, like so. Our state, like a type, state and action, return our dot state, and then here loading will be false, and our error will be true. And then finally we want our if I could type builder.add case for our fetch and community post by type dot rejected, and these shouldn't get rejected, but you never know. State action, return dot state, and then here loading will be false and error will be true. The only reason that these should fail is because we typoed the URL in the fetch request, so hopefully that doesn't cause an issue. So now we just need to go ahead and set up 2 more things inside the community category list so we can go ahead and select and get those. So let's go ahead and open this up. So now we basically need to come to the bottom of this guy and dispatch this. First, we're going to go ahead and come back up here and make sure this body is a fetch communities post by type payload. That way it's not mad at us. Then we can go ahead and come down here. And I believe we need to do it actually inside of where we're checking to see if we have a token. Yep. So now we need to come down here. We're going to say if our fetch type is equal to post, then we're going to go ahead and dispatch and initialize and communities explore, and then token. Oh, I did this wrong. That's in the wrong spot. Dispatch, and this is going to go ahead and be fetch community, and this one is post by type. Make sure we put this in the right place. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and say dispatch, and this one will be fetch communities by type, like so, and then pass in the body. So now whenever we click on one of those, it'll actually update or fetch the communities and reload everything. And then whenever we handle unselect category, we need to also add this. So we're going to say if our token, I don't think we need to wrap everything. I think if we just do this, it's fine. And if our fetch type is equal to post, then we're going to go ahead and dispatch, and this is going to go ahead and dispatch initialize communities explore, pass in that token. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and dispatch. That's why. So here we need to dispatch suggested communities, which we'll work on in the next episode. So that is basically everything. This one was also probably going to be a pretty long episode because we had to debug, but I wanted to go ahead and try to get everything fit in here. And the next episode, when we work on suggested communities, we'll actually add this. But let's just go ahead and give this a spin. Fingers crossed it works because it is getting pretty late in the morning. I need to get ready for work. Let's go ahead and hop into Footer and just try this out and make sure everything works. Okay, so everything is loading. Let's get this out of the way so we can go ahead and go back and forth. We click on sports. Let's see here. It's not loading. Did we get an error? Console. Let's see. Client, network. What's going on with this? Go back. So that worked. Okay, so that got the post. If we go and click on sports, what is going on with this? Sports, click on type 500. So let's see here. I might have typoed something here. Post/type 500. What I was worried about. So let's see. Subtype is null. That should be fine, I thought. Interesting. That should be fine. Let's double check. Oh, you know what? I might have typoed subtype. Let's see here. Subtype. Yep, okay. So back in here, let's go back. This is what I was worried about. So I think this part's okay. Let's go into the slice. So I think this has to do with this. If we come back up here, and here I think we have to say subtype like this, and I think we have to say subtype like this possibly. Let's go and give it another spin. Okay, if we click on sports, there we go, perfect. Now I think right now this obviously didn't work because culture came through for some reason, so we might need to look into why culture came through there instead of just sports. Let's see here, where is our post and preview? So yeah, I'm not sure why. It's also possible that these posts are mapped to like multiple, but we need to look into why the heck we're getting culture instead of, like, in this one's health and fitness. So it seems like the type is either not working properly or something, I'm not sure. Yeah, because community type is health and fitness. It might be because of the subtype actually, because I think we are doing by type and subtype, so that might actually be why this is broken. So this is going to be something we'll have to go back through. This is not an issue with our front end, this is an issue with probably the back end or something. I don't really care all that much, it is what it is. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. I'll look into actually filtering out these ones that aren't supposed to be here. With that being said, y'all, hope you did enjoy. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. Everything helps out here at the YouTube algorithm. If you want to see where to start from absolute scratch to get to the point right now, there's going to be players and end card coming right up. With that being said, y'all, hope you have a great day. This has been Ethan Encoder, and I'll see you all in the next video. Alright, so I completely forgot I was streaming, so it would have been bad. But yeah, there's some funky stuff going on with this guy. I'm assuming that what we're doing wrong is inside of our get communities by type and subtype. If it's not equal to none, we're only passing the type there though. So this find all by community type is not working, obviously. So we'll need to look into what's going down with that. This is something to do with our community, whatever, and I might just YOLO it and change this up. But I do need to go ahead and run to get ready for work and do some other stuff. So I hope you did enjoy the stream. If you did, obviously leave a like. Follow for more streams. On Friday, we're going to be working on Freedom Tracker again. But I appreciate you all for stopping by. It's been Ethan Encoder, and I'll see you all in the next stream or video.